Hey everybody, welcome back to Flat Broke Outdoors. If you're new here, my name's Blaine, and if you've been around for a while, you know who I am. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today is this Bodega cooler. It's a 12-volt compressor fridge that uh, I've had for about, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, maybe. I'd have to look back, but I've had it somewhere between 1 and 2 months. But anyway, about 4 or 5 videos ago, I was getting ready to leave my driveway, and FedEx man showed up, and he had this cooler on board. I knew it was coming, I just didn't know when. So I just grabbed it, took it out of the box, threw it in my truck, and I brought it camping. It was cold, man. It was super cold. But anyway, so I had it on that trip, and I thought to myself, I'm going to try to use this thing as much as I can before I do a review on it, because I don't want to use a cooler for just a couple of days and then tell you all that it's this or that, because I don't know. You got to use something for a minute before you know whether it's going to be something that anybody else might want. That's crazy. Anyway, so I had it now somewhere between 1 and 2 months, and it's been running ever since I got it. It's been plugged in. When I'm camping, it's excuse me, it's either plugged in the back seat of my truck, plugged in the back of my truck, or when I'm at home, it's plugged in there. Now you can either plug it into a 12 volt, or you can plug it into a 110 house volt. It comes with both cords, which is super cool, because there's a lot of times when I get home from camping, this thing is full of food, because it's hard to cook for one person. So I end up taking a ton of leftovers home, and then food I just can't get to, I take that home as well. And a lot of times, if I know I'm going back out somewhere in the next 2 or 3 days, I'll just leave the food right in here and just bring it out with me the next time. But anyway, so I've been holding off, holding off. I've been on 4 or 5 camping trips, some long, some short, but this thing's been running the entire time, and it's kept my food. I set mine at 34 degrees. That's just what I like stuff. I'm not saying everybody likes it at 34, but I do. That's my happy spot between just before freezing. So that's kind of where I want my food. But I don't open the lid a lot, so the temperature, the gauge never fluctuates. It never does. I set it on 34. It stays on 34, and I trust that the things on the inside are going to be good. It's going to keep as long as it possibly can. Now, there's some upsides to this. It has on the inside, it has a basket. You can put all your stuff in the basket, and if you happen to have something spill or anything of that nature, you just pull the basket out, clean it up, put the basket back in. So that's pretty neat. And it does have an LED light on the inside, so as quick as you open it, it lights up. It's not one of the soft closing lids, but it doesn't slam. It goes down to a certain point, but it doesn't slam. It does have a USB charging port on top right here. So that's kind of handy if you're, depending on where you have your cooler. Sometimes I'll bring mine out onto the picnic table. Sometimes I'll leave it in the truck. It really just depends, on what I'm doing. I never do the same thing all the time. I'm not that much a creature of habit. But the 12-volt refrigerator is probably, in my personal opinion, for me, the best invention there ever is for camping. There's a whole lot of things you can do with coolers and that kind of stuff, but keeping food in them, I mean, you can get by with it. Obviously, I got by with it for over 40 years, but this invention, whew, do you remember the day of keeping all your food in a cooler, and then about day 2 or 3, the ice is gone, and you got about this much water in your cooler, and all your food is just in there sloshing around. The cheese that used to be yellow is now white. Your bologna is waterlogged with some old funky water. It's just nasty. So, that some of my worst memories of being a kid was having to open that cooler to make a sandwich and everything just being there floating. But since I've had probably 12-volt coolers for the last couple of years, maybe 2.5 years, and I have just been happy with every one I've ever had. And I've got 3 of them, and I'm happy. I'm happy about them. I don't ever want to be without one again. I'm not a backpacker. I'm not that guy. I'm not, trying to put everything I have into a thimble and go traipsing up through the woods. I like creature comforts. I like to have something that's going to keep my food and drinks at the proper temperature. And this one is not a dual zone, so it's all one space in there. All your food's going to be stacked in together, but it can be used as a refrigerator or a freezer. It'll go from -4 Fahrenheit up to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you have, a lot of stuff you need frozen, like say you take a trip to the grocery store, but you're not going home right away. If you have this in the back of your car, you can set this thing to freezer and put your ice cream and all your frozen meats, whatever you have in here, and they're going to be fine. This isn't just for uh, people who like van lifers and people like me who are camping all the time. It's not made just for us. If you got kids who you're taking to the ball game and it's your turn to bring drinks for everybody, you can count on this. The drinks will be in there and cold and nothing sloshing around or sloppy or any of that stuff. Or if you're a family who takes road trips, something like this, it makes your road trip worthwhile. You don't have to stop every 30 minutes at a gas station to get somebody a drink who forgot to get one the last time. So they're just great all around to have. They're, for what they are, they're not expensive. They're worth having around, I promise you. If I had to give up, if I could keep anything, what I currently have here, minus my truck and trailer, as far as my camping gear, this would be number 1 on my list. I will always try to have, excuse me, a 12-volt refrigerator. But anyway, so this one, it has wheels on the back. So if you got it loaded down heavy, you just grab it by this handle and just pick it up and wheel it around. Very simple to operate. Now, it does have a regular grab handle here and then the extended handle. And the wheels on the back, they're not super big wheels, but, it gets the job done. It's been a really good cooler. Let me bring y'all over. I'll show you the inside of it. It's going to get a little shaky, kids. All right, here. Let's go right here. There we have it right there. Bodega cooler. T50 series. It's a 50-liter cooler or 53 quarts. So whichever, if you're using the Canadian version, it's 50 liters. If you're using the American version, it's 53 quarts. But anyway, let's take a look on the inside. Easy to operate handle. Very light lid. It does have a drain in the bottom. So if you have a spill, you pull the basket out and you can pull that plug and just rinse it right out the bottom. And there is a little LED light right there. It's hard to see the way the sun is, but if it's dark in there and you open that lid, it's going to light up everything in the cooler. Like I said, I've had it for somewhere between 1 and 2 months, and I'm highly satisfied with it. It has not wavered one time. So anyway, that is really all I know about the Bodega 53 quart T-Series cooler. Now, if you down in the description, I'll put a link to their Amazon, because they offer many different coolers than this one. They've got dual zone where you can have freezer on one end and fridge on the other end. This just happens to be the one that I have. I have a single zone, but I'm happy with it. I would say I would like to think if you spend any amount of time camping or road tripping or taking kids to the ball games, I think you'd like it too. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll see you next time.